This is the third person's house I've had to stay at in 1 month. I got a job. They fired me a week later because they said I am too loud. I'm not loud. I have a light and my light shines despite anyone's hatred for me. And I know a lot of the customers loved me and a lot of my coworkers didn't like me. And that's okay because, I know how to, I still shine in the dark. And it's dark right now, even though it's daylight outside. So I'm just going to fold up all of my clothes. Thankfully, thank God I have people to stay with, but this is definitely not a goal. It's a temporary situation. So I'm going to make my entire life content because I need to have some income. I don't want to be a broke chick. Don't want to be broke. I want to be self-sufficient. And so I'm hoping that you guys will support them.
How many times, family, have we heard when everything goes to pot in life, whether it's our fault or not, we're just simply going to become content creators? It's kind of like everybody, when things all fall apart, they say, hey, I think I'll go get my real estate license. I know a lot of people have a real estate license that have never sold anything, or if they have sold anything, it's like one or two items. Why? Because it's always harder than what it seems like. So here's my thoughts. This is her third house in a month. Why is it her third place in a month? This means you're moving every week, perhaps because you're sacking on people's couches and stuff. And I understand that. And I'll even say I can respect that. Kudos to the people that have let you in, opened up their doors so you could stay there for a week. But part of me wonders, are you possibly loud for them? This is a woman who has not figured out why she could not keep a job. And I even wonder if this is not the first job she's had that she has lost for being quote unquote loud. Yes, the customers may have liked her, but something that you will learn, especially if you are young, is customers liking you is almost less important, if it's not less important, than whether or not your coworkers like working with you. And when in this particular case, she even says she was fired for being, quote, loud. She knows this. And instead of coming on and saying, you know what, perhaps, and don't even think of it, let's not tie it to race. Okay. This is not a race thing. Her words, she was being loud. So my thinking would be, all right, so you know that people say you're loud. Perhaps in the quiet environment that you are working in, possibly it doesn't fit. I know in my 20s, I worked as a administrative assistant. I wasn't the secretary. I was way beneath that. I was just the administrative assistant, paper pusher, Xerox copier, answered telephones and stuff like that at a very quiet designing architectural firm. They did awning type work in Eugene years ago. Not even sure they're in business anymore. But I did not fit personality wise. My so-called loud behavior, and I could even understand, I wasn't really loud, I was just talkative. Surprise, surprise. Okay. I was just talkative. And so it didn't work with, that particular environment. Even though I had fine rapport with the people on the telephone, my personality, my volume, and all of that did not work. Now, oddly enough, it works perfectly for middle school. It's a personality match, but you have to be willing to be honest and say what the problem is. I can honestly tell you it was not a personality match. So she should have come on and said, hey, you know what? I lost my job. They said I was too loud. I realize it might be a personality match. I understand that I can be a little boisterous. I can be a little bit on the vocal side. So I've reflected on this and I'm going to try to be more aware. Nope, nope, nope. She does what everybody else says on YouTube that really can't admit what the problem is. They're just going to become content creators. Next video. Thanks so much for being here with me.
I made a video where I talked about the struggles, the financial struggles that people are going through and the reasons for them going through those struggles, mostly because of how the system is set up. And I said in the video basically that people should be able to enjoy pleasures in life. They should be able to treat themselves even if they are going through financial issues. And as a person with a chronic illness, I firmly believe that, tomorrow's not promised. Enjoy your life while you can, because guess what? You could spend your whole life, your entire life, trying to catch up on bills and trying to do this and trying to do that. And what was all of your life for if at the end of it you never enjoyed yourself and you just tried to play catch up in this system that is designed so that most people will never be able to catch up. So anyway, I posted this video because I know so many people's lived experience, so many people that I love, in fact, and care about, and how they are struggling. And people were calling me poor, they were calling me fat. And listen, I'm not poor, and actually there's nothing wrong with being poor. I was poor as a child, but I am fat, so you got me there. I'm 5'7" and I'm like 207 pounds. You got me there. But another thing that I noticed is that people really don't like for poor people to be happy, to have joy, to be poor and still enjoy things. And that's so weird. Like the comments were just like, oh, you're poor, you shouldn't do anything. You should just live in a studio and eat beans and ramen. You don't deserve an iced coffee, drink water. You can't order DoorDash when you're tired. You work 4 jobs and you come home and you still cook. 4 jobs or you're making excuses. You should get 6. And I'm thinking like, what is this? What is the psychology? What is the psychology behind people believing that if a person is not as financially secure as someone else, that they don't get to enjoy life? I really feel like that's it's so sinister. Let me tell you something. I don't care what your financial situation is. None of us can take any of this stuff with us. You enjoy your life the best you can, and don't you ever feel guilty about it.
That is the classic case of people saying things like, well, we're not, just like she was saying, well, you could die tomorrow. You don't know when you're going to actually pass away. So spend everything now. I think the message that she was getting, well intended about poverty and spending money. Perhaps it was delivered, maybe not in the most kind way, but let's get real here. And we've seen studies on this. We've seen videos on this. A lot of so-called rich people stuff is bought by whom? The poor people. The Coach bags, the Louis Vuittons, the really expensive designer Nikes, you name it. A lot of that is bought by people who can't actually afford it. So I'm beginning to think, she says she was raised in poverty. I think some of that victim, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, okay, but I think some of that poverty victim mentality has stayed with her as an adult. The idea, she says here, well, poor people have right to treat themselves, they have right to enjoy pleasure. Sure, they absolutely do, and I would not deny that. But part of it, let's face it, okay? You're going to enjoy those things, but perhaps you need to enjoy them to a less extent than someone who has more financial resources. It's not that it's not that you can't be poor and have a birthday cake. It's not that you can't be poor and, treat yourself to an occasional nice meal. But let's get real here. And I've told you this before. I do not wish myself to be the poster child of, hey, I can have nice things while living in poverty. It's very hard to dig yourself out of poverty and spend your money because you feel you are owed that spending for that luxury because you are poor, and try to get yourself out of debt at the same time. In other words, it's very difficult to say, I'm poor, I deserve the nice things. So you go ahead and you buy all that nice crap. And then you complain that you're poor, that you're in this constant cycle of poverty and you can't ever get out of it. That's because if you are poor and you really want to get out of it, then guess what? You're going to have to live like you are poor if you really are. And you're going to have to work possibly years and years to get yourself out of the poverty trap that you are in, especially if that poverty trap comes from the way you were raised. In other words, my case, like my bankruptcy when I was in my 20s over credit card debt, it had nothing to do because my parents were poor. It's because I was just an idiot and I spent too much money. That's really what it was. But people who are actually raised in poverty, I will admit, and rightfully so, they have an even bigger psychological burden that they have to carry over. And you can tell, I believe she said she was raised in poverty. You can tell she has that, I'm trying to say this respectfully, but kind of that victim mindset. Oh, you guys think we should have anything nice just because we're raised poor? No, it's not that you should have anything nice, but the bottom line is if you are truly poor and you are spending as much money as someone who is not poor, then you're going to remain poor. I think that's what it's more about. She also says here that the system, I just love when people use the word the system, okay? She said the system is designed to keep you broke so you never catch up. Maybe decades ago. I think today, I could be wrong. This is just my opinion. I think today, if you choose to remain poor, that is more of a personal choice. It's a personal lifestyle decision you have made. And it can go as far back as, did you choose to pay attention in school? Did you choose to ask questions? Did you choose to follow good role models? And I understand somebody could say, but they're poor. It isn't around them, and I will say this as a teacher, every single student, at least in the United States, is legally allowed in education, which means somewhere or another in your life, you are going to be put in front of multiple people that can become role models for you. You see? And again, I understand it's going to be twice as hard if you are coming from poverty, but are you taking every single advantage to get yourself out of poverty? She has a real victim mindset. You can tell. I'm not going to dismiss her feelings about that because I was not raised poor, so I understand it. But the problem is she sits there and she says the system is designed to keep you that way. No, I don't believe it is so much as an adult. I really, really don't. I think perhaps maybe before civil rights, before, certain laws, changed that kept women and minorities down, then yes. But I think today, if you choose to remain in poverty as an adult, then to some extent, I believe that is a personal choice. And we need to stop blaming the freaking system on everything.
You don't need an excuse to enjoy your life. We are for sure given this one life. You enjoy it. And don't you care about what random people on the internet that are not paying your bills, that are not helping you in any way, have to say about it. Because I'm going to enjoy my life and I'm going to be fat and jolly. Well, at least until the Zep bound kicks in, I guess. And if I don't feel like cooking, guess what? I'm going to order DoorDash.
And that's the difference between people like me who has never ordered DoorDash even during 2 surgeries of knee surgery, and I recovered completely by myself. Okay. And people who are quote unquote poor, using her words, that remain poor. It's those decisions that you make. And I'm sorry, again, I do not wish to be the poster child for, hey, you know what? I can live lavishly. I'm going to be broke. But hey, you know what? I'm poor and proud and I'm going to remain poor. Yes, you can be poor and proud. I would rather not see you remain poor of a victim mentality.
I'm going to do that. And you should too. And the people that are upset about it, guess what? Worry about yourself because no one is asking you for money, boo. We're not asking you for money. And I know there's going to be a person that says, oh, well, my tax dollars are paying for rah, 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 rah. Half of the people that are going through financial struggles work. They work a lot. They work hard. And guess what? They do not have any type of government benefits. So anyway, the point of this video was just to let people know you don't need anyone's permission to enjoy your life.
I made a GoFundMe. I swallowed my pride and I just did it. It's not easy for me. I play it cool a lot. I'm very performative in how people perceive me. I don't want to look weak. I don't want to look like desperate or anything like that. I'm always a person that does things on my own. But at this point, I'm going to need a lot of help, especially with what I'm dealing with and the appeal process. And frankly, after doing the math, I will be $200 short on the rent every month. And that's not even including the bills. That's not including the phone, the light, the gas. Food, I'm okay. I'm okay. As far as like the bills and the rent, and then wanting to create content and wanting to build my personal brand and company, the VR Effect, which has to do with everything I used to do before I lost my job, which is content strategy, integrated marketing, which has to do with digital storytelling. And this is what I was doing at my last job. I was curating the content, capturing the content, editing the content, doing the copywriting for the content, well as posting the content. So pretty much I was a social media manager without the social media manager title or the pay. Let's keep it real. So now I'm trying to build for me and create something that I can say is mine, that no one can take from me and no one can make me feel the way I've been feeling now.
Well, you're feeling now, you're saying that you're going to be $200 a month short on rent every single month. not counting the other bills. And she wants to build something that she can call hers. The problem is to build something that you can call yours. It means you're the one that has to build it, not the people around you. Let's take this YouTube channel, for example. Okay. I started this YouTube channel when I was 52 years old. As you know, I just turned 59 years old on July 4th. I've built the YouTube channel. Yes, it is. You guys clearly have helped a lot. But I don't come to you saying, hey, you know what? I need $200 a month to cover my rent. Plus, I have all these other bills I need because I have a dream of being a content creator. I didn't do that. Never have, never will. I've told you only 2 reasons I'll ever beg on this channel is to save the life of a sibling or to save myself. That's it. There's the only 2 reasons you're ever going to see me beg. Okay. So she's sitting here trying to act as though she's all grown up, saying, hey, I want to do this social media content creation, but I need everybody's dollar so I can do it. No, you got to do it on your own, sweetheart. And young people, there's nothing wrong with holding a full-time job while you build that up. This to me is a side gig. My teaching job will always remain first and foremost. It is where my biggest loyalty lies. This is second to that. But never would I go to the public and expect the public to support me in this endeavor. That is what I'm expected to do on my own. So she has this, this dream of she wants to be this amazing marketing content creator, yada, yada. She doesn't have the money, the resources for it. So instead of her wanting to go get it, she says, I'm going to swallow my pride and go beg on social media. Big mistake. Those bills are her responsibility, not ours.